Historic Route 20 is the longest highway in America. Stretching from Boston, Massachusetts to Newport, Oregon, this highway has seen it all. What began as an old Native American trail became a vital post road in early America before becoming a vital cog in the US highway system, only to be eclipsed by the all-consuming interstates. Route 20 is still around today, connecting communities in space and time. Crucially for me, and for you, those connections include national parks. Hello, and welcome to a somewhat different episode of National Park Diaries. Just got back from a road trip along Route 20 where I hit a bunch of national park sites. I went with my friend Bryan, who is the executive director of the Historic Route 20 Association. He invited me along on this trip knowing that I love national parks and that there were a lot of national park sites to see along, or at least very close to, Route 20. So today, I want to share with you 3 key takeaways from my trip. 3 things I learned about national parks and conservation while traveling along Historic Route 20 from Boston to Cleveland. On this trip, I visited 12 different national park sites in 3 different states. I also traveled through 5 different national heritage areas. At first glance, it might seem like these sites don't really have a lot in common. Some are military sites, some are cultural sites, some are natural sites, some are more modern, some predate the United States even. They're all over the place, literally. And visiting them individually, it can be hard to sort of draw parallels and connections between them. But visiting them all on a single trip, largely along a single road, really helped me understand these sites and the stories they preserve as part of the overall larger story of America. For example, I went to Harriet Tubman National Historical Park in Auburn, New York, and Women's Rights National Historical Park in Seneca Falls, New York. They're less than 30 minutes apart, but both sites are dedicated to telling the stories of marginalized groups who fought long and hard for the rights that they were owed. On several occasions throughout this trip as well, though, I visited the locations of former Revolutionary War battles, a war largely fought in the name of freedom. As the Women's Rights and Harriet Tubman Parks show, though, that freedom didn't always apply to everyone. Or fast forward a few years in history rather than looking back. Both the Harriet Tubman and Women's Rights sites also exist in the larger Erie Canalway National Heritage Corridor, which tells the story of one of America's most important transportation corridors. The Erie Canal turned New York into an economic powerhouse and largely influenced the settlement of the Great Lakes, including Buffalo, New York, which is home to the Theodore Roosevelt Inaugural National Historic Site. It was here in Buffalo that President Roosevelt was sworn in as president after the assassination of William McKinley, who was in Buffalo for the World's Fair in 1901, which was being hosted in Buffalo because of the economic success that the Erie Canal had brought. You can see what I'm getting at, right? These sites are all interconnected in some way. When you zoom out, both in time and on the map, you can start to connect the dots between not only these national park sites, but the historical contexts in which they existed. By zooming out and looking at the larger historical landscapes on which these parks exist, we can start to see that they certainly don't exist in isolation, but as individual parts of a broader story. In this way, I found Historic Route 20 and the national park sites along it, by visiting them all at one time, to provide an excellent cross-section of important American events, time periods, people, and places. It's a testament to the power of passages, and the need to protect not just individual sites, but larger corridors and heritage areas as well. So that first takeaway really focused on zooming out and analyzing these national parks in a broader regional and historical context. But I also think it's just as important to zoom in and analyze these sites individually. And that's why I refer to my next big takeaway as the stand where they stood takeaway. When I visit these places, am frequently in awe whenever I stand in the place where some important historical event took place. There's this connection through time that you feel with the people and places where these events happened that can really only be made by standing in the place where those events happened. It's one thing to learn about history in a book, but it's an entirely different experience to stand in the actual location where it happened. On this trip, I felt this several times. On our first night, we went to Minuteman National Historical Park, just outside Boston. It preserves the location of the battles of Lexington and Concord, where the first battles of the American Revolution were fought. You can literally stand on the bridge where the first shots of the American Revolution were fired. I felt somewhat emotional standing on that bridge in that soft evening light as the sun set, knowing that the country I call home was essentially born right where I was standing. Or I mentioned Women's Rights National Historical Park. Part of that park protects the Wesleyan Methodist Chapel where the first Women's Rights Convention took place. You can visit that chapel and stand inside it and imagine that convention taking place, imagining the rights and opportunities that generations of American women have been fighting for ever since, right there in the park. I also mentioned Theodore Roosevelt Inaugural National Historic Site. Me being as big a fan of national parks as I am, standing in the place where TR took office was a big deal because, of course, he went on to protect hundreds of millions of acres of public lands for all Americans to enjoy during his time as president. What I'm getting at is just take it all in. When you visit parks that protect important events and locations, and not just American history, but history in general, take it all in, knowing that you're standing in a place where history was made. And be thankful that we have places like national parks where these moments are preserved and where we can go to have those experiences. All right, my third and final takeaway from my trip along Historic Route 20 has to do with the people I met along this trip. People who have a love and passion for their parks, for their work, for telling stories. You can probably tell I'm also a very passionate person, and so when I meet other passionate people, we build these sort of passion bridges and connect over them. And for me, that just enriches your experience so much more at any park that you visit. Talk to the rangers, do a tour. Not only will you learn a lot, but you'll build a connection with another person who has dedicated their time and energy to helping protect some of the most important places in America that you're now visiting. In particular, I want to give special shout-outs to the rangers at Martin Van Buren National Historic Site, Women's Rights National Historical Park, Theodore Roosevelt Inaugural National Historic Site, and James A. Garfield National Historic Site for doing such a wonderful job at sharing your parks with us. They made my experiences at these parks so much better, and the interactions I had with each of them were some of the highlights of the trip. If any of you are watching this, thank you so much. I also want to give a shout out to my buddy Bryan with the Historic Route 20 Association. First of all, for driving me all the way from Boston to Cleveland, but also organizing everything, for teaching me about Historic Route 20, and most importantly, for sharing your passion for it with me. Parks, for me, are ultimately about people. And the people I met on this trip are some of the best examples of the power of parks to educate, unite, and inspire. I know this was a bit different from normal, although I did warn you videos like this would pop up every so often, but thanks for watching. I hope you learned something from this video, and if you did, give it a like and let me know in the comments if you've ever been to any of the parks that I showed here. Direct support on Patreon is always appreciated, and be sure to follow me on Instagram for pretty park pictures and channel updates as well. Until next time, goodbye.